Getting down to the end of the year, or the end of our class. It's not too long left. Does anybody know anything about the chapel on Wednesday, as far as what's happening as far as songs or who's leading the song leading on Wednesday?
Yep, me. Just
You're leading.
I'm
Okay.
leading songs.
Are there songs chosen as of right now?
No, sir.
Okay. Here's what I thought would be helpful. I'm actually preaching on this Wednesday, and to try to demonstrate leading with somebody playing an instrument. So I can bring my trombone, but it has to be in the right key. So the key makes a big difference because you got to practice ahead of time. So if that's okay with you, is it all right if I lead one song?
You want me to lead a song while
No, if I led one song while playing.
Wow, sure, yeah.
And then you could see how it goes. Might not go that great. It might.
So you can lead one with an instrument and one by yourself.
No, I'd do both at the same time because you can't talk and play simultaneously.
Right, but we have two different songs. I mean, do you want to do both?
Oh, both. I thought you meant both of us. Both of us,
I mean, if you want to, no.
which we'd make a fabulous team. But yeah, no, just one of the songs.
Just one song.
Yeah, maybe I could do
This
the
on
one.
Monday. This would be so fun. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
So,
No, so this will be for Wednesday.
all right, so I only have to pick one song.
Yes.
Okay.
Then I'll pick the other.
Take care of the other one. Okay.
So you'll be able to see. You do have to work on it ahead of time, which I will now find a good song. And you have to know what you're doing as far as playing. And basically you get everybody going, and then you jump back in. So you're limited on how much you can play and direct simultaneously, obviously. So, but anyway, I thought it'd be helpful for you to see it. Dr. Frank Garlock would direct while playing occasionally. Of course, he was amazing in playing the trombone. He often would travel with his trombone when he was in, he would play. So anyway, we will try that. What we're going to talk about right now is other ways to direct other than the pattern. So that's our lecture. Go and put that on your notes. So we focus primarily on pattern work, 2-beat pattern, 3-beat, 4-beat, 6-beat, and we've spent a lot of time with you actually practicing and leading so that you feel comfortable. So keep in mind, being able to do something is different than knowing how to do something. There's a difference between that. So just having information, for example, I could explain the basic music concepts in 20 minutes for this class, but that doesn't mean anybody's going to know what they're doing or be able to apply it in a variety of situations. So that's the purpose of the class. So we focus primarily on that, but there may be occasionally times where you want to use other types of direction. So if you're introducing somebody to a new song, this may be a good time to do this. Or what if people don't have music for something? Or what if you want people to sing an extra special part on the end, the one where people sing up high or something like that? How can you indicate that while you're directing with a 4-beat pattern? You can't do it. So there may be times you want to do other things. So one of the additional ways, like a specialty way you can help direct, is where instead of directing the time, you're going to actually direct the pitch. So if you're familiar with solfege is hand cymbals that help to show where you're going to show the different ones, so me, and different things like that. And you have these different hand cymbals. And what that is that's primarily used in elementary type music, and it's a reinforcement to see, do they know, or are they actually reading the music and doing the correct hand symbol to go along with it while they're singing? So that's initially how it's used. However, let's say you get to the end of a song like How Great Thou Art, and you want people on those last 2 or 3 notes to hit the optional high part. So one of the things you can do is you can use your hand kind of like a ledger line or note at the same time. So then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. And you can still direct with the other hand. So you can use one of your hands to show, I want you to go and take, it's optional, of course, but you can show that's what you're supposed to do. The other time you may be able to do that is, what if you have a song where you don't have the music for it, or it's a new song. And so if everybody's looking at you, you can actually do something like this so you can show the timing. There was a song I actually used in church when I was in elementary. When I did elementary music, there was a beautiful little song about the think on these things, whatsoever things are lovely and so on. And there's a beautiful little song for that. And I was trying to teach it to people without the music, because I don't have the music to that anymore, in the middle of the service. And I was able to use this to be able to show them. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are just and true. And so I was able to show it, and it actually went way better than I imagined it was going to go. So you can use that if you're doing a children's song, for example. Sometimes that helps the kids. So you can show, in the same time, you can show relative pitch, and you can show basic rhythm by kind of bouncing it like this. That's a specialty thing as far as congregational song leading goes, because you're limiting how much you're showing the tempo. So that's the downside of it. But it can be a very nice thing, and it allows you to express some other things that you can't do just with using the normal pattern. Question?
Is it possible to do both at the same time, or is that just too much?
Both at the same time.
Like,
Well, here you'd be showing rhythm and not like a beat or pulse. So that's going to be pretty challenging. I can't do that because that's too much. Wait till we get to the next part of our lecture and introduce some new features, duplicity of hands, independence of hands. You could try it. Again, it's like a specialty thing. It's like you're not going to use it that much, but it's a nice thing to be able to use in some specialty situations. So, and I've got I don't think was anybody here in the, oh no, yeah, we just have one who's here. I showed this video for my philosophy of music class when we were talking about harmony and melody. And what we're going to see is a secular music performer. It's a young guy, and he is basically using this kind of direction for a choir. His name is Jacob Collier. This is not a recommendation of all his music, because he's at best eclectic. But this is one of the things he's known for, where he's actually directing the choir with no music. With no printed music. What he's going to do is he's going to divide it into groups, and he's using basically these hand symbols. He'll point to the different segments, and he'll move these chords around with the people. So they're going to go on a musical journey. The whole thing is a little while, but he'll put in minor chords, major chords, and he'll move the different parts. And he kind of, over time, he's learned how to do this, where he can kind of build it up to this really powerful thing and then bring it back down. And so there's sort of as a melody here, but it's mostly he's just moving groups one at a time. But this is all mostly with doing, it's not solfege, but he's he's showing one or two groups and he's showing them what to do. And because it's a very large group, obviously he is using exaggerated movements for this. But he does this, I think, at all of his concerts. But there'll be people like in tears at the end. They're just so moved by it. And it is mostly chords. But this is the audience, so they've not practiced this or anything. It's completely him directing and the people responding. So he's leading the audience. This is a paid audience that came to see him. So obviously a little more musical than your standard group on the street. But still, there's no practice, there's no printed music. He's thinking these chords through and then directing them in real time. Now in the philosophy of music class, I use this as an example of harmony, because this is mostly just harmony. Still somewhat melodic. So now he's starting to slowly bring them back down. And the whole thing's, I don't know, 4 minutes, 6 minutes long, something like that. So you can see that he's not directing any time because there's no meter here per se, but it's a really, really amazing experience. And over time, he's learned how to introduce half steps. I don't think he does this here, but he'll get him where he'll move them down just a half step, and he gets into minor and diminished chords. Trying to keep all of that, keep track of all that is pretty challenging. Oh, there he goes. Now he just got into the minor chord. What's that? Well, it starts with minor. Diminished is 2 minor intervals. I think that's diminished. Move it along. Let's see, move it.
IVs with the nose things.
So here's the very end. He's got everybody really quiet, a nice open chord. But notice the audience's response. And they're applauding themselves, like they're the ones who just sang. But again, so it's a specialty tool, but it can be very helpful. The second thing is a little bit hard to explain, but when I was in college, the pastor of the church there, occasionally he would lead. He would never wave his arms or anything like that, but he would use his voice. And he wouldn't even sing, but he would be saying in kind of like a sing-songy way. He would say the phrases before everybody else got to them. So if everybody's about to get to the chorus on, then it'd be, "Then sings my soul," and then people would start to sing, "My Savior, God to thee," and then people would kind of sing along, "How great thou art." And sometimes you would join with them. So you can also use your voice like that. So the main thing, if you're directing, you're encouraging the congregation to join in singing. So you want to do everything you can, get everybody singing as best as you can. We're not going to have enough time to cover all this, but I want to introduce a couple of things and talk about a church choir and some gestures that will help you. We'll get to that in the next class. We won't actually go over them today. but some gestures that will help you both for song leading and if you're going to be leading a choir. So you don't know this yet, but I would guess that about half of you will end up leading a choir at some point in your life. And you say, what? There's no way that I would do that. You have a nice voice, you took a class, you can wave your hands, you're hired, okay? That is the way it works in some places. It could be, hey, we need somebody to help with a kids choir. And so that is very likely going to be you. So way more of you are going to end up actually leading choirs than you could imagine. So with this, when you're leading with music, we'll cover a few very basic things. There are 3 new gestures or things that you want to work on. And the skill goes up exponentially here because you need what's called independence of hands. In other words, it's like the chewing gum while riding or while walking or something like that. You need each one to be able to do something completely different. And there's 3 different gestures or things that you're going to use. I'll introduce them right now, and then we'll actually practice them. You don't have to perform these for a quiz or anything like that, but I'm going to introduce them to you. We will work on them in class. The next class that comes after this is actually conducting. And so we'll start quick review of the patterns, and then we go into and work in great detail, and we'll drill in the same way that we drill the patterns every single class. We'll be drilling the 3 gestures with the combination of differences of hands and different patterns. So we'll do one of the gestures with a 2-beat, then we'll do the 3-beat, the 4-beat, we'll switch hands, and we'll go back and forth. That's in the next class whenever that's available. But I want to try to give you an overview for it. So what you need to be able to do often is show 2 things, or it could be more than that, it could be 4 things or more going on at the same time. So how do you do that? A quick overview today. I'll give you the names of them. We're not going to even try them. I'll demonstrate very quickly. But the first one is a cue, C-U-E. The cue is the first one. The cue is an entrance to start singing. And I'll go over it in more detail and how to show or indicate that. But if you remember, I was quite particular about what your hands are supposed to be doing. When you're leading, you want them primarily looking this way and then slightly curved. Why that's specific, and this is going to be one of the reasons why. So then say it's time to come in on a downbeat, and you're going to show the breath, and then you're going to flex your hand to show, hey, it's your turn. Boom, it's your turn. And so that way you're able to show that entrance. So the cue is, hey, it's your turn to start singing. So for example, you get to the chorus, It Is Well With My Soul is a beautiful song, and you need independence of hands to truly show how to do that. So you have, it is well, and then it is well. And you're going to show one, and you're going to bring in the second group over here. The second one is a hold or a sustain. This is actually the most important one. The second one is the hold or the sustain. And for this, what you're going to try to do is you're showing, let's say you bring in the first group. I'm going to bring in the first group with my right hand on It Is Well With My Soul. It is well. And then I'm going to turn and bring in the other group. But notice what my hand is doing. Slowly moving, slowly moving, slowly moving. So the hold is keep singing, keep singing, keep singing. All right? As soon as you stop moving that hand, you say, it's not that big a deal. You don't really need to sing. But keeping that motion going like this is the key. And so then you're working with the other group, but this is still going. Everybody still knows, well, that's for me. And then the third one is the release. That's where you're going to show this is what you do. This is actually probably the most helpful immediately for song leading, because what do you do when you get to the end of the song? You should have a release at the end, because otherwise it's just, okay, time to stop. And everybody's like, well, is it over? Is it not over? And so the release, you're going to use your hand, and we'll go over this, and you're going to bring it from a side position, or from this position. You're going to rotate it, and then bring the fingers over to give it an extra point. There's a couple different ways to do it. We'll talk about that later. So all three of these actually go together. So let's say you're bringing people in. It is well with my soul, beautiful song. It is well. And now I'm going to go over here. It is well, release. With my soul, release with my soul. So you have to do independence of hands, back and forth. So you have all three of those things you're gonna show the entrance, then do the sustain, and then show the release. Yes. Oh, wait till you try it. So here's how it's going to look when we try it next week. You're going to be like, oh, that's not that hard. We'll actually start with people leading a pattern in the left hand and showing the gesture in the right hand, because, well, it'll just be easier. But when you actually try to do two things at once, say it's a 4-beat pattern, and you try to sustain, here's what it usually looks like. And then you're out of room. So it's like a lot harder than you'd think to try to do something smooth like this. So and keep it. And the other thing is people tend to run out of space because they're moving it too quick, and they got like 3 measures to go, and that looks awkward. So we'll go through those. You don't have to do these for a quiz. We'll practice them and work on them in class, and that's going to be the foundation for the next class. But it's going to help you with song leading as well. Okay, what questions do you have?